Good evening. On tonight's composite program, we're going to take a look at a protective device that's going to be used by the Montgomery Police Department. And it's also recommended for use by individuals, and particularly women, in case of attack. On another segment, we're going to look at an adult education program. And finally, there is the story about quilting. This started out as a report on the facts and figures of that age-old art, but it soon turned out to be the inside story of what a group of little old ladies do when they get together for some gossiping and quilting. We'll be back in a moment for a look at a protective spray. To the large arsenal of police weapons, something new is now being added in the Montgomery Police Department. It's a chemical spray. It has been used before in the past. And here to answer some questions about it is Police Chief Charles Swindle. Chief Swindle, why have you decided to go to the chemical spray?
Ivy, we've decided to go back to using it on a limited basis. We have used it in the past. It's an aerosol-propelled spray that causes an irritant to the person's eyes that you spray it on. And it can be used maybe in some cases where the officer is unable to talk the assailant into coming along real peacefully, and rather than to resort to physical violence to subdue the man, we might be able to utilize this spray on him and subdue him without causing harm to him or the officer.
Does it do any permanent damage?
No, it does not. It's simple. You wash it out of your eyes with clear water, and that's about it. It lasts some 20 to 30 minutes.
What would be the reaction of the person who had it sprayed in their eyes?
He becomes completely immobile, unable to resist, or unable to fight, and therefore gives the officer an opportunity to handcuff him or transport him to jail without fear of having to either harm him or the assailant or the defendant harming the officer.
Now, the police officer is going to carry this with him. How's it going to be transported by the officer?
It will be on a pouch on his belt, just like any other part of his equipment.
And exactly in what circumstances, specific circumstances, do you think the officers would be using this?
Well, Ivy, they would use it in a number of instances where they're unable to restrain someone for reasons beyond the person's control or the police officer's control. Maybe it's a violent person that is having some kind of some reason or another that he's attacking the officer, and the officer can get him off of him and subdue him and bring him in without causing any harm to the assailant, any permanent harm. And in cases where the person has just become violent for no apparent reason to the officer, and he's either threatening some citizen or threatening the officer.
Would this possibly be used, this small canister, be used in riot control?
It not very well in a riot control. We have a pepper fogger that we use in riot control situations that you could fog this entire block in about 2 minutes.
Is that tear gas?
That's tear gas. This is tear gas.
What other weapons do your officers use now? What does a regular patrol officer go out with?
The regular patrol officer leaves here in the afternoon or on any given shift with his sidearm, a .38 special. He also has a shotgun in the car, a riot gun, if that's what you want to call it. And in the future, you'll have this chemical aerosol with him. And that's basically the officer's weapons. That and a baton, a 26-inch baton.
Are there any drawbacks to the officers using the spray?
Yes, there is some drawbacks. Sometimes some innocent person gets some of it on him, and sometimes it gets on the officer. And if it's used in close quarters, the officer gets the same amount of it as he gives the assailant. And it's not really good for the officer either.
I understand that there is one particular spray. You're looking at a number of different kinds of sprays. Is that right? Brand name sprays?
There are a number of brand name sprays on the market, and some of it is the nausea gas, some is tear gas, and some is a chemical that acts as an irritant to your eyes and to the membranes of your nose.
And the chemical is what you think you'll probably
That's
use.
right.
I understand that there is a red dye that one of the sprays has.
One manufacturer offers a spray that has a dye in it that lasts some 5 to 6 hours after you spray the person with it. It'll show up on it.
He can't wash it off?
No. But it's not necessary that we use the red dye because the officer is in contact with the person that he's spraying. He knows who he is, and so it wouldn't be necessary for us to mark him. It might be good for merchants or women that are on the street by themselves to have something to arm themselves with this type of a weapon with a spray on it so they could identify the assailant later at a lineup or something if the assailant leaves.
Would you recommend a chemical spray for people, for normal individuals to use?
Yes, I would. I would recommend that they have some type of a weapon on them to discourage a personal attack on them by people for whatever reason it might be, or rape, robbery, or whatever the case.
I guess these are smaller aerosol containers that would be used by individuals.
Yes, ma'am, it is. It's a real small one, and some manufacturers are making it on keychains where the wife or the female that carries it would always have it handy, but there's one drawback to that. If you're riding down the street and your keys are in the ignition, you got to stop, unlock the key, and take it out to be able to use the spray. And if you spray it within the car, you might spray yourself.
Would you recommend, you would recommend that women using this, since there has been a great deal of rape in the area, do you think this would be a possible deterrent?
Yes, ma'am, I think it would be, and I think that most of the families now have weapons in their homes. And Mayor Fulmer's wife, Miss Nita Fulmer, is through the police academy, in the police department, we are teaching the housewife how to effectively use and safely use a weapon in their home. And we invite them to contact Miss Fulmer, contact the police academy. We'll be glad to teach them how to use that weapon.
Does this weapon include guns and aerosol sprays, etc.?
It will only involve the use of a weapon in the home that they keep to protect their homes with.
What do you mean by a weapon?
A pistol, a revolver.
Something else is new in the police department, something besides the chemical spray, and that's the possible use of a new paint job for Montgomery police cars. It's a two-tone metallic blue and white, which the department is considering. Chief Swindle says that it may provide a higher visibility for police cars. Next on Composite, we're going to take a look at the age-old art of quilting, or more specifically, what goes on when a group of little old ladies get together for a little gossip and a little needlework. On this segment of Composite, we're going to examine something that's an age-old art. It's quilting, and these ladies are gathered here from the Henderson community. They've been quilting together for 19 years.
Well, the lining goes in your frame first. It's a backing, some folks calls it. And then the cotton, or the polyester we use now in place of cotton. It quilts better, it don't knot up. And
You don't have to card it.
And you make these tiny, tiny little stitches.
Piece up your quilt top then to put on top of that cotton of your polyester.
Well,
and then sew it all together then with every stitch. It goes through all that 3 pieces.
Well, these are such tiny stitches, I don't imagine y'all can talk much while you're working.
Yes, we can. We're used to them stitches and used to talking too.
How many have you done yourself?
I hope you wouldn't ask me that, because I don't know. I just wouldn't know. I kept up with the ones that we quilted at Huntington one year. We quilted 52 that year.
That's the group of you
That was
together.
the group, yes. It takes me about 2.5 weeks to quilt one out by myself.
How about, well, right now we're in Troy, Alabama now. You all come over here to the Pioneer Museum and quilt once a week, is that
No,
right?
they quilt
You
at
quilt
Huntington. I
here
quilt here 5 days a week,
5 days a week
yes. Then I go
for
down there
visitors who are coming through.
and, yes, demonstrating quilting.
But this is your group.
And this is a group at Henderson that I quit with every Thursday, all day. We get there and start quilting at 8 o'clock. We make a day of it.
We've got a perpetual fund now, but we are working, keep quilting to keep cemetery work without touching that, you see. We can draw on it if necessary, but we don't want to. We want to keep working it without going into the picture fund.
Well, you see the interest accumulated.
Okay.
I'm a heap younger than the rest of them, and I'm not old enough to go way back there.
So you can't tell me about
No,
quilting
I
in
can't.
the early days.
No, I can't tell you nothing about the early days because I'm in the modern age. Go back and go.
Back in the old days, while the women were quilting, what did the men do?
Oh, they were out in the field rolling logs, clearing the land, getting it ready to plant. And they had the dinner, all of them would have dinner together, in the middle of the day, and then they'd have maybe 2 or 3 quilts in. Be a large family.
And women would sit around like this in a group, and that's what they did, spend the time
Sure,
quilting and
sure,
talking.
that's right.
And talking.
Enjoying each other's company. Oh, just having a big time.
Yeah, I did, and that was the hardest job I ever done.
You did what?
Carded cotton. To put in the quilt, we had to, have the cotton carded, to make it smooth, to put in the quilt in between these 2 linings, and you'd have to do it like this, and then stop a little bit and pick them knots off, and then do it again and make a chair full. Mama always, weighed out the cotton.
You the job of carding the
Yeah,
cotton
I was
while
too
they got
little-
to quilt the quilt.
I was too little to quilt at that time. And so I had to card the cotton, and lo and behold, I'd have to card, a big chair full, 3 pound is what was put in the quilt at that time. And so that was it. That's all I done, is sit and card cotton.
Have you been quilting for a long time?
About 50 years.
About 50 years. How'd you get started?
Oh, I don't know. I quilted before I married, and I've been married 60 years.
You've been married for 60 years?
Yeah.
What is the best thing about quilting?
Getting the quilt.
Just getting it out, I reckon. Have it thin, where it make it quilt good. Where the quilt good. Have your padding thin.
Do you all do a lot of gossiping while you're quilting?
Oh, yeah.
You got know any good secrets? Find out any good secrets?
No, we don't much have secrets. We tell everything. You tell this woman here, she'll tell you something.
Tell me something you like about quilting.
Oh, getting to be with everybody and talk about everybody and learn the new things that each one, knows something the other one doesn't know. So we get all that and we discuss soap operas, and the ones we like and don't like and what they're doing.
Well, let me ask you this: if you all don't have any secrets, and if you all tell each other everything that's going on, what about other folks? Y'all manage to know much about other folks?
Yeah,
too?
when we get to them, we tell them what we learned at the quilting. Yeah.
All right. Well, you quilt the quilts, but who actually does the handwork to begin with on the quilts?
Whoever the quilt belongs to, whoever brings it to us, you see, to get us to quilt it.
Oh, I see.
They furnish everything, the cotton and the line and thread, and have the top pieced up.
Well, you almost have a
Yeah.
lot of people from out of town. If Henderson's a small place to
Oh,
bring them
course,
to
yeah.
you, must come from all over central Alabama.
Well, in other states.
Other states too.
Other states too. Yeah, we've mailed them. Mailed several to Florida.
And so y'all don't take any of this money home. This
And
all goes for the
goes to
upkeep of the.
cemetery. Takes right around $800 a year to mow it 7 times,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it goes.
Well, now you don't mean y'all are gonna give up your quilting.
We're not unless we have to.
Well, why would
Yes.
you have to?
Well, some of the rest of us could drop out. It could get down where there wouldn't be but just a few of us, too few to go.
See, a lot of the elders have died already.
See, there was 14 of us to start with, and she wasn't coming then. Elizabeth wasn't coming then. And some moved off, and some died, and some got where they couldn't see how to thread a needle. Eyesights went bad on them.
So y'all are gonna keep quilting just as long as you
we can. As long as there's enough of us to pay us to go there to do it, we go keep quilting.
The Pike Pioneer Museum in Troy, Alabama is a center for quilting, and Mrs. Essie Berry shows off the craft and how it's done 5 days a week there. Next on Composite, a look at one area of adult education a reading program for adults. Adult learning centers are part of the public school system in Alabama. They're free and available to anyone 16 years of age and older. Here now with a report is Loretta Bacon.
Less than a year ago, the Adult Learning Center here in Montgomery lost everything in the Capitol Heights Elementary School fire. But it takes more than a fire to cool the desire for education, especially under the guidance of Margaret Tucker, the supervisor here.
We started in 1974, Loretta, and since that time, approximately 1,000 or better adults have passed through the Learning Center in our regular program and summer school program.
Well, I felt like I was too old to come back to school, and my mother told me, if I can do it at 50, you can do it.
That's right.
Are there plans to build any new ones?
We hope so. Of course, the money comes through the state of Alabama, down through the from the federal program to the state of Alabama. And I'm sure that plans are in the making for more learning centers like we have here in Montgomery County.
Did you get much encouragement and support from your families?
Well, no, I didn't. At the time I started, my little girl was 6 months old, and my little boy was 7. And now she is 18 months old, and my husband saw me as a mother, a housewife, someone to keep the home organized. And he would not let me work or further my education until the death of his best friend. And the death of his best friend, his best friend's wife, did not have that much of an education, and she is having to make it alone. And she's fortunate she is not a mother. And he saw that I would have, if anything like this happened to me, I would have to make it alone, and I should be able to get an education to support my children and my home. And with the help of my girlfriend to keep my baby while my boy was at school, this is when I attended school during the day. And the encouragement of Mrs. Tucker helped a lot too.
Is the teaching technique any different with adults than with children?
Yes, it is, Loretta. We let the adult go at their own rate of speed, and we more or less let them, if they want to be evaluated, we let them be evaluated. It's a multi-level situation, whereas one person might be in a 4th grade level or at the same table with the 5th grade level. No one is pushed in the program. You go at your own rate of speed and compete only with yourself.
Oh yes, I got some encouragement, but it started like when I first dropped out of high school. My moms, they kept nagging me and telling me, well, and you either gotta get a job or go back to school, do one or the other. So I couldn't get no job because I didn't have the high school diploma or GED, and it wasn't but one thing to do, either go back to school or be on my own. So my cousin chose, he was going here, and he told me about the program, and so I decided to come on up here. So when I came up here, I met Miss Tucker, and then she, ran the whole layout down to me that I can do it if I want to.
Well, that's the way I got started. I came and talked to Miss Tucker, and she told me that I was able to do it. And I got started, and I wanted to encourage all my neighbors that hadn't finished to go, and I was lucky. I had plenty of encouragement from home. But my neighbor did not. Her husband would not let her come, that she was supposed to stay home and clean the house and be just a mother and a housewife.
Whatever is needed, if we need to work with you with the newspaper and consumer economics, or in any way that you need to go, community resources, health, whatever you want when you come to the Learning Center. If it's just to get a driver's license, then we help you do that.
The whole point is, if you don't have a high school education, you haven't got anything, no matter how much experience you have, no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how smart you are. If you don't have a silly little piece of paper that says you're smart enough to do it, then you're out. And that's what this whole thing is about.
By word of mouth, and of course, people who have finished here give us very good recommendations, and we associated with 23 agencies here in Montgomery County alone. We get a lot of people from the unemployment center for the state of Alabama.
How does it feel to get your GED?
Well, it feels really great. I feel like a new person.
It's really terrific, and it makes your children proud of you that they don't have to go to school and say that my mom quit. They can put on their records that, she finished her high school education anyway.
It's just smashing to have it.
It feels like you can conquer the universe. It really does.
Dropouts, housewives and veterans, widows, workers on their days off, they're all welcome here at the Adult Learning Center in Montgomery, located at Baldwin Junior High School. 16 to 60, they're looking for a fresh start and getting it. This is Loretta Bacon reporting for Composite.
Well, how do you do? I have some legal pot for you, and this is probably the only real legal pot you can ever find in a store in California. Let me just open it up and show you what we have. Inside we have a real legal stainless steel pot. And for those who may not know what to do with a legal pot, we have a booklet manual which tells you all about it. We have a very good section on the pot family, such as the pot belly, the pot holder, the flower pot, and the coffee pot.
It's the hottest gift item of 1977. It's the energy solution. You can let it out of the bag. It's called the original coal mine in a bag.
Well, let it out of the bag. What happens?
Okay, when you let it out, it's a beautiful, shiny, clean piece of anthracite coal. Pet rock was a gimmick. This is a gift with a purpose.
We've got crabs, live hermit crabs. They're the new pet sensation of the year. This is one of our crabs here, and it's a Caribbean crab.
Is it alive? There it is.
Yeah, it's alive. This one's about a year old. As you can see, they're very active.
Is this, for you, a possible pet rock success?
I think so. We've done a fabulous amount of sales on the East Coast. This is our first showing in California. We're just getting started here. And from the outcome of the convention so far, we've had a successful, very successful venture.
Well, that's our program for tonight. Next week, your host on Composite will be reporter Bill Weaver. For the staff and management of WSFA TV News, I'm Ivy Berman reporting. Good night.
The way the computers are programmed makes it extremely difficult to get the information that we need, and it's going to be a manual task of taking the checks, going through them, and picking it up.
What information do you need?
Well, as I understand, the computer itself is programmed by Social Security number and not by name. We would like to see all of the checks that have been issued in unemployment compensation. And
over what period of time?
At least for a year, and we're looking for large checks in large amounts. We discovered at least 4 checks in the amount of $450 each, mailed all on the same day to the same individual.
Is that not a normal situation for that operation?
I would think not. That's some $1,800 in 1 week for unemployment compensation. And we're looking
to the same address?
Same person, same address. And we're looking for...
Would that be one of the people who was arrested?
I'm not at liberty to say, because right now we're just in the beginning stages of what appears to be a tedious, laborious task of hand retrieving information. And I think this suggests that perhaps the auditors should look toward reprogramming those computers and taking additional security measures with those computers, because what we're dealing with is computer crime.
Were these people trained in the operation of computers?
At least one, yes.
Could you give us any indication as whether or not this was an organized effort by people outside the Department of Industrial Relations?
Of course, we're hearing all kind of allegations now, and hearsay evidence on what went on, and we are not crediting any of this hearsay evidence as being believable until the auditors finish their task. The auditors have it now, and they will give us a report on exactly how much money we're hoping we can get a report on how much money the state of Alabama is out. Apparently, $1,800 in 1 week is just one person is a serious matter, and we don't know how widespread it is, and we are unable to obtain the information because it's without the use of a computer expert, and the auditors are in touch with that personnel, and they will have to do that for us because I certainly don't know anything about computers.
Most Bullock County officials contending the location of a state prison will not have any adverse effect on the county once the state to consider constructing a prison here. Probate Judge Rufus C. Huffman is leading those supporting such a decision.
It would be a tremendous boost to the county's economy. I understand this facility would provide about 130 permanent jobs with the minimum salary being $10,000 annually. The construction project alone would be in the range of $3 million to $5 million. Even the salaries of the permanent positions alone would be in excess of $1.8 million annually. With the support funds for each inmate, which it would amount to approximately $1.4 million, not counting the support jobs that would be needed at the facility. So it would add tremendously to the county's economy. It would mean more in tax revenue. The merchants would benefit tremendously because many of their supplies and services would be purchased in Bullock County. It would tend to, although we feel that the out-migration either has stabilized or reversed, you must be mindful of the fact that in Bullock County, we once had a road camp right here in the city limits almost. And unless you saw the trustees walking around or you passed there, you never knew it was here.
Besides land and a site for a prison, what else can Bullock County offer to a state prison?
Well, George, you know, Bullock County is in the middle of a growth period right now, and we've made major improvements in our medical facilities here, and this is certainly something that a facility of this size would have to have. We have a 32-bed Hill-Burton Hospital here, and we have just received a $165,000 grant from HEW for a new outpatient clinic medical facility, and this will certainly be an advantage for the prison facility to use.
The possibility of building a state prison here in Bullock County is not without opposition. H.O. Red Williams, the sheriff of the county, says he's opposed to it.
We don't have the personnel to police a prison here. Second, we don't want Jefferson County, Mobile County, Huntsville, and other places sending their prisoners here. We just don't think it would be in the best interest of Bullock County to have a prison system located here. Now, when these people escape, they're going to do as they do in other places. They're going to rape our women. They are murderers, rapists, kidnappers, and so on and so on. We just don't need them here.
Officials here say a new state prison could mean a new county jail and courthouse. The revenues derived from a new prison. The 5-member Bullock County Commission voted unanimously to seek locating the prison here to aid Alabama's third poorest county. The possibility of locating a state prison in Bullock County has caught the interest of everyone in the area, including the local paper. And the paper today printed a prison poll asking the opinion of the citizens of the county. Do they favor a state prison for the county, or are they against it? So following a famine, so to speak, for the state prison system, it looks like that they're getting all the attention it needs. From Bullock County, George Mitchell, WSFA TV News.
12 Montgomery.
Get ready to match the stars. Scoey Mitchell, Brett Summer, Charles Nelson Riley, from Rich Man, Poor Man, Susan Sullivan, from Family Feud, Richard Dawson, and from the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Betty White, as we play the star-studded Big Money Match Game PM. And now, here's the star of Match Game PM, G.
Thank you, friends. You're very kind to join us here on Match Game PM, and so are you. Aren't you elegant? Oh, you're...
May I please show the rest of this? Because it really looks better from the bottom.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely, lovely. Thank you, my dear. Okay. No pockets, right. Now, let's,
She looks like a
not upside down either. Let's say hello to our two players here, Jack Earhart and Evelyn Borthwick. We welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Greet you. I'd like to find out a little bit about each of you. Evelyn, may we begin with you?
Sure.
Are you wearing a Match Game? Look at that. She's got a Match Game PM T-shirt.
Just for you guys.
Oh, I see.
Match it.
Yes. What else?
Well, I'm originally from England, and now